have followed Viktor Ivanov around a little bit in Top Gun, and we were watching him play with such confidence, almost majestic in his movements as well.
Majestic is a good term to use there, honestly. I'm impressed by him. I'm kind of a Viktor fan at this point because the way he moves, the way he stares into the soul of his opponent is really, really impressive. But the way he sets 2 cards in the spot drop zone isn't really. Viktor, no real play. Going over to Anthony, that's not what you want to see in top 4 of this YCS.
Have you looked at Anthony's face when he saw the set 2 pass? He was thanking Slifer, Ra, and Obelisk for that one.
Yeah, and he instead has the best starter you could ask for. Normal summon airlifter it is for the Rescue Ace player. The only Rescue Ace player left in the tournament.
Yeah, Viktor not on Unchained, not on Labyrinth, so setting 2 cards is nothing.
Absolutely correct. So, searching out emergency, you could even wonder what would that even be there for Viktor. It's not like there are any cards you could really want to set there in the branded strategy or in his specific version of the deck. Only thing I could imagine would be impermanences, but would you even set those? So maybe it's a mixture of impermanence and super polymerization. That would make sense, maybe?
Exactly. The problem is that most of the decks, if they set 2 cards, they can kind of play around with something. For Tier Elements, you could argue for maybe a set Salik and then a Tier Cash from hand or a Havnis. But the branded deck really maybe only just has the super polymerization here.
Yeah, I could see that card for sure. So emergency coming down and Anthony making sure that for now there are no there aren't 2 different monsters on the field. So super polymerization, at least so far, not being able to be activated.
Hydrant is now activated and it is going to fetch the Turbulence. So what we could see to play around the super polymerization would be linking off the Hydrant and then summoning the Turbulence, just so that there are no possible fusion targets in the extra deck for Viktor.
Yeah, that's a cool idea. Only downside, of course, then, though, that the Hydrant is not on the field, so the cards you're setting aren't available anymore. Okay, but we start off discarding the Nibiru for the Diabellstar Witch, and Anthony just goes on, immediately grabbing the deck. Viktor just nodding. It is still some kind of majestic behavior, but of course it's also kind of resigning, right? He's not really having fun there.
Yeah, you might actually argue for going into a Linkuriboh right here and then going into the SP Little Knight just to get rid of one of those set spell or trap cards right there.
Look at that. He heard your call. There comes Linkuriboh. Viktor quickly having to think about that, but no response apparently.
Got to use the battle phase first, though. You can't attack directly after the SP.
Good point. Good catch there. Maybe Anthony just announced the battle phase here.
Also, this is a possible super polymerization right here.
Yep, it is indeed. You could just super poly there, but Viktor is giving the action back to Anthony, showing him you are able to proceed, ready to proceed. SP on 1 back row, and is it going to be super polymerization is the question here.
What is going to happen?
It is super polymerization is gone for the turn, but maybe it's another one. We don't know. He could have just set 2 of them.
Throwback to Lyon, the card that almost kept Anthony Lopez in the game, making him win Lyon, which didn't happen, was super polymerization. I remember completely freaking out about it, and now he just banishes the card, not even caring about it, goes for the Turbulence, and there is the infinite impermanence.
Impermanence on the Turbulence. And I feel like Anthony invested quite a few cards out of his hand into all of this. So, but on the other hand, yeah, I think he's fine here. He should be fine. He could chain SP Little Knight here, couldn't he? But that was probably just on the summon, right? I agree. I do agree. So what's next for Anthony Lopez here?
Oh, he has the Snake Eye spell card, I think, the original Sinful Spoils.
Yeah, it was set from Diabellstar.
Yep, we send the Turbulence. Therefore, we are going to go back into our deck, bringing out another Hydrant.
Oh, wow, that is so good. He has the Preventer as well. He's going to link off all of them for probably an Appaloosa, Bow of the Goddess. Yes, and he's going to be able to special summon out the Turbulence again because of the effect of the Preventer. More like Enabler, right?
Yep, and now the impermanence on the summon of the Turbulence is not great anymore because Anthony can still activate the effect and he's going to set 4 cards here from his deck. insanity. Anthony now resolving this so incredibly powerful effect, deciding to go with 2 spell cards and 2 trap cards, and that is just a huge advantageous position here for him, for the duelist coming all the way from Luxembourg here.
Oh, and yet another card is being set. We have the Appaloosa with 2,400 attack points, and there is Druid Swarm in the end phase, probably trying to activate. Wants to be summoned, banishes the Linkuriboh. I can imagine that Appaloosa tries to negate this.
Yeah, I think you kind of have to negate, because otherwise the Appaloosa can just be attacked over. On the other hand, you have other cards to take care of that. Oh yeah, it looked like Anthony was just giving the thumbs up there. And we are going to negate it in the end. Okay, we have settled on a negate. And the Druid Swarm is going to stay in hand, so Viktor. Did he pick up a play? No, he picks up his deck instead! 1-0 Anthony Lopez here in top 4 of YCS Bologna. And that means Luxembourg leading over Bulgaria. 2 nations that are very, very small in terms of Yu-Gi-Oh! Representation, at least. So far with no real major success, but maybe it is starting this weekend.
Right now they are big in terms of representation. There's one of them each in the top 4, only 4 players left.
Indeed,
They make up 50% of the top 4 together, so I think that is rather huge. So this matchup, I have no idea how the branded versus Rescue Ace matchup plays out if branded actually gets to play, because this was an abysmal hand.
Yeah.
By Viktor Ivanov.
Totally. So we saw for the cards that are regarding non-engine that Anthony picked, he is on Nibiru because he discarded that for the Diabellstar, which is kind of hit or miss versus the branded deck. It's not incredibly powerful, but sometimes can be pretty good. So it's, I think, kind of similar to other strategies where you are really not sure whether to keep it in or not, because it is on the edge whether you will be able to use it or not. But also on the other end, of course, he's running Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring, which would be the perfect answer to every branded fusion ever. And then there are other cards like Effect Veil and the Permanence. And honestly, I like the approach of Anthony. He just plays all of those hand interactions, and so he's very well prepared for all kind of different matchups, and also, in my opinion, pretty well prepared for the branded matchup.
Yeah, I totally agree. I'd love to see what's in the side deck for Viktor.
Yeah, we can definitely have a look at that. And we see, for going first, he apparently feels comfortable enough with his own deck, because there's nothing you really want to side in going first there at all. Like, all of those cards are kind of going second. Excuse me. And nothing really for going first instead.
Yeah, perhaps just that Murd Dragon of the Swamp. Because we were talking about the super polymerization, but I don't think there was any use for it in the first game, because he only has that Garura as a target, so maybe the Mud Dragon being a bit more useful.
That's super interesting.
Kinda insane that you're playing the Mud Dragon of the Swamp in the side deck as a super polymerization target, which is fine if you have the super polymerization in the side deck as well. If you're playing it in the main deck, you might just miss out. But you guys have already seen it on screen. There was a fist bump, meaning that both players are ready to go to game 2. Game 2 will be started by Viktor as well. He is picking up the 5 cards that he is allowed to draw in.
And let's hope this is going better, right? At least activate a branded fusion this time. But we start things off with Alu Burn, as that would be the way into the branded fusion, of course. And that is going to resolve,
Anthony just says, okay, let's go. I'm not going to waste an Ash Blossom on that. Of course, he is waiting for the branded fusion if he has this also powerful Ash Blossom, a card that can just absolutely take out entire strategies.
But look at that. Viktor grabbing the branded and red. And Anthony, another card he brings in from his side deck is Drollin Lockbird. And that is not too bad. And Anthony, look at his face. We searched for branded and red, and we also have the branded lost. So all the branded cards basically in his hand. And now branded fusion, of course, going to resolve too. And to be fair, I'm not sure if a Drollin Lockbird is too insane here.
Oh, Anthony picks up his hand. He has not okayed the branded fusion yet. He is looking at this. He's trying to think. This is. I'm not sure if he's posing at this moment. He's actually.
I do believe that Viktor is thinking here, to be honest.
Oh, that is also.
Yeah. Viktor is just considering how to resolve that branded fusion, and that is what's happening here. We see, of course, before Novalbas going into the graveyard, but what is the other material? What is he using to fusion summon, and then what is he going to go to summon out there?
The Draw and Lock, but is not a card that completely ends the turn of Branded Despia.
We go for the Despian Tragedy, and that's interesting because that won't be able to search anything here because of the Draw and Lock bird that is around.
Yeah, and it's cutting off a search from that Branded Lost as well.
True, so Draw and Lock bird already putting in the work, to be honest. It's quite good here.
That is true, and we're going to summon the Lobellion, meaning that there is another discard necessary to fusion summon.
Lobellion activating its effect, discarding Branded Opening. So Viktor's hand was just full of branded cards, honestly. Branded Lost, Branded in Red, Branded Opening, Aluber, all of them.
And there we go, the boss monster of the Brand deck, the Mirror Jade Dragon. It's been a while since we've seen
Oh, and another set too by Viktor. This time a little better though, to be fair, because he also can include the Mirror Jade to his field. And let's see what Anthony now, with 5 cards in hand, can do against this.
He has the Branded in Red, we know that much, though it could be double a Mirror Jade Dragon right here. Anthony now has 5 cards to play through this field. It does not look like too much. A card like a Lightning Storm or Harpy's Feather Duster could be absolutely crucial.
I don't know how you get to a double Mirror Jade, because we did decide to send the Despian Tragedy and not the Ad Libitum. So we kind of don't have the double Mirror Jade. Interestingly enough, because that would have been an option pretty certainly. But now, when we go for the Despian Tragedy, that means we have more follow-up. I think that's the approach that Viktor wanted to go here, because if we now add back the Despian Tragedy and fuse with it, we can then trigger it to at least have follow-up for the upcoming turn. So Viktor feels confident here in having another turn, and he wanted to provide the appropriate follow-up. Ooh, starting things off with the permanence on the Mirror Jade. That's an interesting move, because the effect can of course still be activated and get stuff into the graveyard.
Yeah, it's one of the most beneficial costs of any card, really, isn't it? Just send a card from your extra deck to the graveyard to get a search in the end phase. I'll pay that cost.
Yeah.
The entire Dogmatica engine is just based around that effect, basically. And now we're normal summoning the Airlifter, best normal summon we have. Impermanence is changed. Is there an emergency for Anthony Lopez? Yes, there is!
Immediate response, and he can dodge the impermanence through that. We are going to search one card, or even special the Hydrant here, and we are sending the good old Airlift, and that will make sure the card resolves anyways, and we are going to add the alert to our hand.
There we go. Anthony just already climbing over the first obstacle right here. Hydrant is going to resolve as well. Just easy SK going into that Turbulence right now. But then the Turbulence will also have to activate the effect and resolve to get this powerful set 4. We will have to see if Viktor lets that slide.
Maybe there's another impermanence. Potentially there's a super polymerization. Plenty of things that Viktor could still have here. So let's not be too quick. Okay, there comes the Turbulence. Does Viktor have a response right here, right now? He is just nodding. I think there's no response. We are resolving this and sending 4 cards to the Spell and Trap zone. This is looking nice for the Anthony here.
It should be branded in red, right? Is there a reason you can't?
True. It should be branded in red. Yeah, you're right.
Can you not activate it and get a Guardian Chimera?
Oh, that's an interesting call. You're right. Why didn't he do that?
Huh.
Very good point by you. That has to be the branded in red there. But Viktor is so far not faced by this at all, apparently. He's like, I can wait with this. Oh, and we see 2 traps. Interestingly enough, he did not side out any of the traps here. He still has Extinguish, he still has Contain. Feels comfortable enough keeping those in going second.
Yeah, he just wants to play through the field. Branded is not the deck that puts up the biggest field ever. If you even draw it, you might not regret it, and you want to have this full value from Turbulence.
Oh, and there comes Typhon now too, and Typhon, of course, a great way to get rid of the Mirror Jade.
And it's excellent against the Guardian Chimera as well, having that little bonus effect.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Guardian Chimera couldn't even activate if it wanted. This is the first time I am seeing the Typhon this weekend absolutely being insane for one player.
Yeah. I do agree.
Whoa, that is the
handshake! Anthony Lopez moving on to the finals of YCS Bologna here, defeating Viktor Ivanov 2-0, so another final for Anthony Lopez.
He immediately concedes this game after the Typhon was summoned. Anthony Lopez in 1 year gets into the second YCS final already. This man is absolutely insane. Just summoning out the Turbulence, setting 4 cards, and then the Typhon. I did not think the Typhon was going to come down, but it just absolutely crushed Viktor Ivanov and punished him for not going to this Guardian Chimera earlier.
Yeah, that was a really shocking thing to happen. Like, imagine just resolving branded fusion and then conceding within minutes afterwards.
Yeah, absolutely. So Anthony Lopez really had everything going for him there, because as well, it were exactly 2 summons from the extra deck for Viktor. So Typhon was just able to be summoned, because you need at least 2 summons from the extra deck. That was really working out for him.
Anthony Lopez from Luxembourg did what so many other players this weekend couldn't, and that is defeating Viktor Ivanov and his branded strategy. We have seen him dominate players with the best meta decks in the field right now. But he says, no, Rescue Ace is such a fantastic deck, and I'm going to perfectly play it.
Yeah, so we said 4 different decks in top 4. Still, at the end of the day, the most represented deck out of top 64 might take it all down, as it's now one of the 2 decks left in the finals. But he will have no easy task, as he will be facing either Joshua Schmidt or Dinka Bui. So I guess that's still a hard task to have.
Yeah, I mean, if there's people you don't want to play in the final, it's people who have been there before many times and won.
I mean, he has been there as well, so it's very experienced players right now. Anthony is just the only one of those 3 who is yet to win one of those tournaments. Both of these players have already won YCS titles. Dinka Bui, also a German national champion. Both of these players have been to the World Championship already as well. And Anthony is just there to climb up to the throne of European Yu-Gi-Oh! He wants to be immortal with this title, and now we're going to see what he has to say in the winner's interview with that.
Thank you, Leo. I am here with Anthony, who's just made his way into the final of YCS Bologna 2023. Now, Anthony, this isn't your first time in a final. We saw you in Lyon. Do you think you could take it all the way this time?
I'm hoping to take it home, but I'm not sure, because my opponent is Dinka Bui or Joshua Schmidt, so it's going to be hard, but it's going to be a good game.
It's been a really stacked top 8. Were you intimidated by the caliber of the players around you?
No, not really. I mean, I do play against good players a lot, so it definitely helps, and you should just play well, and it should be fine.
And you did play well. Let's talk about the game that we've just seen. So, right at the start, Viktor had a bad start with setting 2 and then passing. So when you see that, what's going through your head? You go, I have to capitalize on this moment.
Oh, definitely. I had Ash, Imperm, Nibiru, so I was definitely feeling a little bit safe, but you never know with branded. And then you just said 2, I'm like, okay. So now my question is, does he play Super Poly? Because I actually didn't know that, and I sniped it with SP, so that helped a lot.
We were all wondering, because we were sat there watching going, one has to be Super Poly. That's what you got to go for. And then when you hit it with the SP, everyone in the crowd went nuts for it. It was so over. And then there was a couple of other moments, but we moved into game 2 at this point. So you drolled, but Viktor also had a branded fusion in hand. So at that point, were you suddenly going, okay, he might actually be able to get into stuff here?
Oh, I knew he had branded fusion in hand because he didn't search it off
search branded in red.
Of Alistair, yeah. So I had Nibiru in hand, and I was thinking that maybe there's a line where he can still puppet lock me if he has enough extenders. But apparently he didn't choose to do it, so he just did a Mirror Jade set branded in red pass, just like the old school branded boards. And I played through the Imperm because of emergency, and then the rest is history.
That was a huge move, yeah. The emergency got Hydrant out, and then obviously you got to resolve Turbulence. At that point, Viktor just knew it was over. So you're about to go into the final. How does that feel right now? Because some people, I say some people, most people at home haven't been in your shoes. They haven't been in one final, let alone 2 finals before in the same year. How does it feel right now? Are you nervous, or are you still feeling actually pretty excited for it?
I'm feeling excited. Yeah. I'm ready for it. I want my win finally. Yeah. Not end in second place again. So yeah. And Magnum was that one, so it will help.
Well, we'll see what happens. Best of luck to you in that final. We're only minutes away from getting into the grand final here at YCS Bologna. Don't go anywhere. That grand final feature match is coming right up.